Hello friends, welcome to Design Meetup powered by IxDF Kerala and co-sponsored by Experion Technologies. Today, Vivek will be taking to us about branding and user experience design.
Thank you, Megha. Thank you for the introduction. Today, I will be talking about the importance of bridging brand experience, the importance of understanding a brand, and bridging the brand experience with the UX user experience part of it. So basically, we'll be trying to understand what a brand is, what is the importance of branding, and then how do we relate it to user experience to make it more versatile in terms of a brand. So we'll be covering, these are the topics that we'll be covering. One is what is branding, a basic understanding of what does the term branding mean, what is it and why is it necessary? Understanding the brand, what does a brand mean? Understanding a brand and what is brand experience and what is it in user experience? How are they linked? And what are the advantages in connecting those things together? Significance of incorporating branding in the UX. Yeah. Then we'll see how we do it. How do we bridge brand experience with UX? And a detailed topic would be about the brand guidelines, the brand visual design, about advanced UX writing incorporating brand voice and messaging, emotive interaction and brand socialization elements. We'll talk about a little bit about brand gamification, maintaining brand consistency across touch points, the importance of that. We'll talk about set of questions which would help you to understand, which would help this user experience designers understand more about brand. And then I'll have a few references from where I took most of this. So basically, before I start, I'd like to say that this is an attempt because I couldn't find anything very concrete connecting UX and brand, as nothing else is being documented in that way. But there are a few things which I could collate. And then from my experience of branding, what I understand about it, I'm trying to bridge it with UX, just trying to add value to the whole user experience part of it. That'll be the whole focus today. So branding is a process of developing a very distinctive brand image for a product, service, or enterprise. Be very careful about the word distinctive because it really helps to make your product stand out. That's the basic intent of creating a brand. There will be different products, different applications doing the same task, helping us to do the same task. But when you pick a certain application or you want a certain application, your brand to stand out, your application stand out, it has to be distinctive. So branding is it's all about creating this distinctive nature to an application, to a product or enterprise or anything else. A brand name, a term, a symbol, anything else distinguish that will help you distinguish your product from your seller's product. That is a brand. Brand is not just a name, brand is not just a set of colors, brand is not just a set of captions, but all those together, when it helps you distinguish yourself from another product or your competitor, that's when branding really happens. It's the most effective way for companies to communicate their vision. Without the brand and brand entity and brand integrity that's being connected to the application, it would be very difficult to communicate or to emphasize what a brand wants to do or what a company wants to do. It clarifies what a company stands for. It refers to the entire experience. I mean, it's not just one color, it's not just a way of writing, but it's the entire overall experience a person has when interacting with a business. Everything else is a business, so let's call it that way. And that too, as a user, as a customer, as a social media follower, you will not be using that product, but you follow them in that way. Or maybe somebody else who's walking and you just see your brand that way also. So the brand is something which gives anybody else looking at it a clarity of what they stand for. An easily memorable, an easily recallable thing, should be very well understood for all kind of users, even the general public. So why is branding necessary? Branding helps build relationships. No, we forget about relationship most of the time. Unless there is a and your product.
Hi, Vivek. I think you might need
Yeah.
to turn off your video. It seems like it's on and
Okay.
off. Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn it off. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. So it helps build relationship. See, a product to stay and be a sustainable product to stay for long, you will need loyal customers. Otherwise, what happens is a new product comes, the users jump to that product. So how do you build loyalty? Loyalty is built through branding and through this constant interaction with your brand and your application. So there is an outside thing. See, if somebody might spend 1 crore building a product, they might spend 5 crores to promote it and advertise it. So majority of what people see when they move around in society is this promotions, advertisements, and all those things. So that creates an impact on them, and that's why we follow good companies. That's why we follow Apple. It's not just because their product works well, but altogether there is a holistic image of a brand that is getting created. So it helps to build relationship. It adds a lot of value into the relationship between the user and the product. Second one is it helps distinguish. Now, see, just like I said, there might be so many products which offers the same service. So there is a clutter, there is a chaos. Now, how does your brand stand out? How does your application stand out? Your application stands out when it's totally different from the other applications. So that is where the branding comes into play. It helps you distinguish your entire product. You're not compared to anything else, or you are not mistaken for another product. It clearly makes you stand out as an entity, as a brand. Helps create more value. When see, a product has not just the functional aspects of a product. There is this emotional connect between a brand and it's, see, if Google Pay didn't come from Google, it was another company that has brought in this 1 rupee transaction thing at first, we may not have accepted it as much as Google. So there is a value that is connected to a brand. So every product, when there is this brand element and brand entity that is being added into this, so it helps create more value. Without branding and with branding, the difference, there is a lot of value that comes in. Understanding the brand experience and its importance. Why is brand experience important? Because brand experience helps us make decisions about a product or an enterprise or an organization. Say an example, I thought, the political party campaigns that happen in India. See, 100% of the voters may not know which is actually the right party, or who does the right thing, or who's right and who's wrong, and all those things. 25% might pay keen attention to whatever political parties are doing, and they might cast vote based on that. But rest of the 70% or the other majority makes a decision based on the experience they have, or the things they see around, the things that they read, the campaigns that they see. May be right, may be true. It did not be genuine, but those experiences around us creates an impact, makes us take a decision. So this experiences is what forces to cast vote, and so experiences are very, very important. So a brand with so many other entities, when it tries to push itself into the market, people see a lot of that and less of the application. So when they switch from that to the application, seeing all that, when they come back to the application, it should feel like an extension of the other things that they have experienced, that they've heard about, and that they have seen. So that's how important it is. Imagine you don't care any of this. You don't understand what the brand is. You don't understand about them. You don't know what the emotion they want to evoke. You don't know any of this, and you end up designing an application. It will have no connect with the brand. But once it has a connect, when you can bridge this thing, then there is a lot of difference that comes into this whole user experience thing. relation between brand experience and user experience. They might look like two distinct concepts. Just because that one is totally focused on mobile device, say digital device based thing, but the other one, I mean, it revolves around the entire thing, all the devices and indoor and outdoor and everything else. So, but they are yet inextricably linked. Meaningful user experience becomes complete only by bringing in the brand. See, the process of developing distinct brand and image of product organization is branding. But in contrast, UX is about creating meaningful experiences. But with the exact brand experience coming into the user experience, that's when it really comes out like a super powerful product. You know? So without that, it could actually be a blank product. Now, see, every day products are getting pumped, applications are getting pumped into the market. So in the future, brand integration of brand into the user experience would play a very, very vital role. Else, like every other phase in the evolution of design, this minimalism might end one day. Or it might get overcrowded. The whole minimalistic thing might get overcrowded, and the only way that you could distinguish your brand from this could be the differentiator, could be the brand entities coming into play. So, what is the significance of incorporating a brand study into the UX process? One, it aids in developing user trust and credibility. An application. Let me take the example of Zomato. See, there are a lot of advertisements that Zomato do. So seeing all those social media handles, they might have promotions doing that, they have hoardings, so many things. So we interact. Those are the things that interact with the users, knowingly, unknowingly. It comes to your feed and you interact with it. Now, based on that image that you have about Zomato, when you order an app, there is a lot of trust that is being generated. So imagine you don't know anything else about this thing, and then you go into this. There is a mismatch happening there in the whole field and whole relation that you have with the brand. There is a difference. So whatever the brand communicates with the people, the same emotion, same things has to be communicated through the app also. It should feel like an extension and not like a separate entity. It helps distinguish a product. Yes, just like I said, there could be there is PhonePe, there is Google Pay, there is Paytm. There are so many things. Then to distinguish your product, you need to bring in the brand elements into it. It really makes the product different from its rivals and makes it very, very memorable to the users. It adds more value to the product as well as the mother brand. A brand might have 3 or 4 products, and then when product, say for example ABC, if product A, B, and C succeeds, and then the value of this brand, all these 3 brands gets added to the mother brand, and also the value and trust and integrity of the mother brand, just like how I said, spoke about Google, this thing, GPay. The whole value and trust that Google has built for years gets translated into the product. So whenever you have a chance, you should go for that thing. Just because it adds more value. It's vice versa, it's cross-branding and a lot of value sharing that happens. Full-blown brand identity and story. The case of Zomato. So they say "Acha din aayega." So they're very sarcastic when they talk about in all their promotions in social media handles and everywhere. They say "Acha din." They take this Bollywood movies and then do this Karan Arjun thing and all that. They take Bollywood stars and all those. So they have a certain way of talking to people and people loved it. Now, when they extended this thing to their application, because when Zomato sends you a message saying your food, they don't say that your food is going to reach you in 5 minutes. They say they totally talk in a different way. They might say, hold on for 5 minutes, we are on the way. So there is a way in which they talk to you. They could have just written it like plainly, your food will reach in 5 minutes, but they don't do that. There is a way in which they communicate, and this communication is very much connected to how they use their other tones of communication in the public media. So when that and this connects well, then it becomes like a full-blown brand story. So all those values get connected, and it becomes like a complete story. It's understood like a total brand, not like scattered into different things. Better research and insights and research and competitive analysis. So when you normally do, imagine you have been given with a website to do the UX part of it. So what you do is you might do competitive analysis in a way that you might check the competitor websites, maybe 3 or 4 of them. You might not understand you may not spend time in understanding this brand, the brand that you're designing for. Plus, you may not understand the competitor's brand. No, website is not the brand. When you do a website, you might do the competitor analysis, taking the website, but website is not the brand. You should know what the other competitors, the brand is. What are their plans? Where are they going? What is their mission? What is their future looking like? Now, unless you understand that, you will never be able to project your application to the next level. So in research analysis and all that, it gives you really, really better insight. You may have to have like do 3 or 4 folds of extra effort and work that might come in, but it is worth doing it. Helps to know the bigger picture. Understanding of the brand. Same way, see, when you do analysis of a website, you don't know what their next plans are. You may not ask your client when you do a UX, you may not be asking your client, what is this brand, or what is your future plan, or let's say when Paytm first came, they had only this bill paying, basic recharge and all those stuff. But then in the future, what happened is they stepped into e-com. They stepped into all other transactions. They've moved from the first pitch, what they came into the market, what they were, and what they today are. There's a huge difference. Now, this bigger picture, like when you will not investigate it when you look only on the UX part of it, because you might rely more on the experience part of it, the architecture and all those things. But when you understand that this is their plan today, and this is where tomorrow they're going, and this is what their aim really is, and that's when you get really into it. Now, that gives you a lot of it kind of expands the whole canvas of thinking. No, and second, most importantly, it kind of it helps you to be there regardless of time. No? It really stands the test of time. Otherwise, I always say this: there are 2 type of products or brands, or how things work in the industry. One is the first movers, the guys who innovate and bring in the products to the market. But the more dangerous one, I mean, they're the guys who really do the hard work. But the more dangerous people are the people who are called as fast followers. So what they do is they do not innovate. They work on somebody else's innovation, but they kind of improvise it, and then adds more value to it, and then sells it. So before the first mover establishes in the market, the period of 6 months or 3 months or 6 months, the fast mover kind of gets it. So in such a scenario, you should always know what your competitor is going to do. What is the next thing? And it makes it helps you know the bigger picture, rather than just being UX part of it. You understand where this whole thing is going on. So that will really give you a lot of insights, actually. Helps to create right amount of gamification. Every application looks similar today for the interaction part of it. Now, it'll have same kind of boxes. It'll have same kind of things. It'll have back. It'll have send. It'll have all the writing, all the UX writing. Everything else looks very, very, very similar. Imagine you have, look at games, video games, for instance. Imagine a game like Crisis. Imagine a game like Asphalt or Far Cry or any other game for the matter. The entire interface gives you that gaming experience. Imagine if your buttons, or say if the left, right, or if your menus for selecting options looked very simple and clean, you may not be able to relate with it. So this change in interface and design, which kind of holistically connects to the brand or the whole theme, or let's say the whole intent of all the experience that one brand wants to offer, when it gets connected, that's when the whole thing happens. That's when you get that phenomenal experience. Otherwise, it would be very, very boring. So I think right amount of gamification, it doesn't mean that make things too flashy or make it awkward, but uh, bringing in those brand elements, right messaging, right tone of talking, all those things, the messaging part of it, you change that. It could be anything. It need not be sent. It could be for a children. If you're doing something else for kids, it could be play, or it could be share. It could be, if it's a CSR initiative, it could be anything. I mean, it need not always be sent. No, we are so much. I mean, we see it everywhere. So, but we don't even try once to rethink why it has to be there, or why, if it's something else, and will it make a drastic impact. So the understanding of a brand helps you to rewrite all this, and bringing the right amount of gamification to create that difference. Now, how do we do it? I mean, how do we actually? So whatever we saw is, what are the advantages of incorporating branding into the user experience part, or maybe the first initial research part of it. Now, how do we actually do it? First one, basically, like all of you guys know, you start off with the brand guideline. But that's one key thing that everyone should understand, is that the brand style guide is not the brand guideline. There's a whole lot of difference between these two. Brand style guide is not something for the UX guys. Of course, you should know the imaginary, the feel, and all that things, but you should be more focused on the brand guideline than the style guide. The style guide is basically for the UI guys. Now, what does the brand guideline contain, and what does the style guide contain? See, style guide has all this. No, it's basically, it says how your brand should be aesthetically conveyed. That is the style guide. But from an experience point of view, aesthetics is not just it. It's about how you talk. A lot of the experience is not aesthetic. Experience is totally different thing. So in aesthetics, definitely yes, you should take care of your font family, your color palette, your exclusion zones, your palette. The color palette is also not wisely used many of the times. Exclusion zones are also set, but when it comes to patterns, it's absolutely unexplored. Many of the applications that you see, there is no exploration happening in terms of patterns. Patterns, when I say, it's not something else that comes in the background or something else, but it can be thought about in a lot of different manner, thought of different ways. The icons, the buttons that you use, so many things can be changed without making it. I mean, it has to suffice the functionality of the product, of course, yes, but then there is a lot to play around it. So that's guideline. Next one is in here when I talk about the brand guideline, the style guide is what you just saw. Brand guideline will have, see, it tells you what is the vision of the company. Why is somebody else building this? What do they want from this? Yeah, you understand. Only you don't, the style guide doesn't tell you that. It tells you the vision of the company. It tells you what do they value. Core values of a company are very important. Because every product they build, every application they build will reflect it in some way or the other. It's an emotion. Some things are, see, certain things are emotions. I mean, you cannot just express it. It could be an image, it could be a layout, it could be anything else. It could be one single screen with a message. So all this you understand only from the guideline, brand guideline. So it'll have the tone of message. There is a certain way to communicate. See, if you as a person, see, people identify you based on the way you walk, the dress you wear, the tone you use, all that, everything else. So same way, brand also has all these characteristics. So you understand these characteristics only from the brand guideline. It'll tell you how your messaging is. It'll tell you for each instance. See, if for digital, how do you talk? For promotions, how do you do? Are you do you boast of things? Are you like a confident thing, or you go very subtle? Are you very sarcastic? So all this gets defined there. Now that has a lot to do with UX. Now understanding that helps a lot in the UX. advanced UX writing, including brand voice and messaging. So right now, what we see is majority of the applications, they're informations. They're just they stay as informations. So in UX writing and in the UX experience that you're trying to do, I think it should travel from information to conversation and to stories. Every slide, every screen has to have a story, has to have a flow, has to have a conversation. See, how do you build a relationship? See, when somebody else on the other side is mom and he's not talking to you, or he's just giving you yes, no, yes, no, yes, no things, do you think will there be a relation that is building between the two? No, it is more like interacting to a machine. Uh, so that has to change. The information to conversation to stories attitude has to come in. Try and bring in a conversation wherever possible, without adding too many things. Might also be a create clutter, but the actual amount. Understand that optimal way of bringing in this conversation in stories to your user experience design. You have to bridge. How do you take it from technical, from information to conversation stories? Understand the philosophy of the brand. Understand what is that? What do they stand for? Every brand has a philosophy. Understand their culture. Culture is not what how they behave, but say culture is everything else since their beginning till now. How have they interacted? What were the interaction? How is it? Entire understanding of a brand, and the messaging. How do you talk? How do you, the mannerisms in which a brand behaves? Try and make it more emotive. Emotive interaction, and I'll say brand socialization elements. Brand, an application. So I'll say let it be more emotive and less technical. Now we are so focused that we're trying to make it very technical. We're so focused on screens that we want the user to get this function done, and we stopped it. We're too much focused on the functionality of it that we kind of forget about the emotional side of designing in the user experience. So try and bring in more emotion. It can be in the way you talk to them. It could be an extra screen. Even it could be an extra screen, but if it adds value, adds some kind of an emotion, helps in building relation, I think that should come there. Add storytelling to user flow and functionality. From one side to another, there has to be an ascension when somebody moves from one screen to another screen. It shouldn't be just like stages of completion. Most of the applications you see, it's like stages of completion. It's like doing a task. So rather than that, make it more like an interactive thing. You talk to somebody else and both of you together are doing something. So that togetherness feel has to come in on this whole experience that you deliver. Then images, videos, and messaging based on brand psychology. There is brand philosophy and then there is brand psychology as well. So images has to speak. You should be able to create the right scale and right proportion of images. You look at Apple's website. You're stunned by how you'll be really stunned by how they use those images. You might simply look at the images and stay there. You may not even read the text. It's so beautifully linked. And then images, everything, the perspective of images, how you use it, what is the depth, the field that you want to create, all this has to be taken care. That's only when it becomes emotive. And socialization elements is it's lot of many of them are related to how we behave or how we socialize, or when do you feel better interacting with somebody else. There is when you do something and then somebody else tell you good, that is when you feel confident, and that is when you really want to move forward. You are talking something and another guy is not responding, you really don't get it. That's not a place where you want to really stay. So whatever the brand wants to be in people's mind, you should try your maximum to create that in your experiences, in the flow that you create, in the architecture that you create. Gestures aiding interaction, both content and forms. When I say gestures, I mean there's so many things. When we say somebody says something, then we show thumbs up, we show that. There's a lot of gestures when we say hi, bye, so many things. Every photograph nowadays you see, everybody will be having, they show all the gestures. So gestures is simply if somebody else looks at you and close their eyes, there is something else. It means something else. So bring all those gestures if possible into the design. It could be anything. Try and bring in those gestures. Any gesture that adds value to an interaction, minor interaction. That you see this certain things, when you win a bonus, you see this thing happening, you see graffiti and everything happening. So such thing, small things, but that adds a lot of value. Brand gamification, bring in playfulness. See, nobody is too serious. Applications that we design shouldn't always be serious. I mean, it shouldn't make everyone like computers. We always think that there is a person sitting behind it and we have to make his work easier. Definitely, yes, we have to make his work easier, but nobody told you to make his work boring. No. See, imagine if 8 hours of a day you're using an application, say a social media, something else you're using, and then if there isn't any kind of playfulness interaction in something else that evokes a smile, then it could be boring. It could be boring. So somewhere, wherever possible, try and bring in that socialization, playfulness element. And try and break the clutter. Don't use the usual patterns, usual fonts, and all things. Break the clutter. See, design is always understood as if you go to the 1840s, when the romanticism time of the design evolution, see, even that time there were designs, there were posters, there were things. Now, that posters, when you look now, you'll not at all like it. It's complete chaos, it's complete clutter, but it has a beauty of its own, and it was understood to be and accepted as exceptional designs during that time. So now we say whatever we think now, the minimalism age, the simple age, we say this is best. This is best for today. It doesn't mean that this is the best as whatever we work with. So, but somebody else like you and me is coming in and making a difference. Now, there's this neomorphism that thing came in. Wasn't a big success, but still somebody came in and made a difference. So that difference is what kind of aids in evolution. See, all these changes will happen based on the social changes, what we see around you, and technological advancements. All those things change, but I think it's, as designers, it's our duty to kind of break the clutter, do more of form exploration, bring in playfulness and all that. This is something that is, I mean, all of us do it, but you should be very careful when you do it, and you should emphasize that this happens in all your designs. Now, screen A to screen Z, same feel, same emotion, and same messaging. Make a very consistent brand experience, use the entire journey. And when I say entire journey, it's not that from screen A to screen Z, but see the other. There might be application, there might be a website. They might have promotion, they may have so many other things. All that and your application, it has to be linked. Yeah. So that is the consistency, not just among screens, but from brand to product, there has to be a consistency. Now, capturing brand emotions and validating it. Now, before you begin, ask questions. See, make a chart. You can decide on what has to be here. I mean, you can do a research and write whatever you want and write it from a scale. Now, this helps you understand what is it. I mean, you at least have a vague picture of what is your product. Now, what is the emotion that it wants? Is it good? Should it be very valuable, or should it be inferior? Everything else, should it be clear? So under rather than understanding that canvas at later stage. So ask the right questions. So some questions which I thought which you could might be helpful is one is understand what is the feel and emotion. We never talk about feel and emotion. We always talk about what the user wants, technical things. He has to come in, he has to sign in, he has to this, then go. Okay. what is the emotion that this application should evoke? What should the user feel when he navigates from one page to other, one screen to the other, from one click to the next click? What should he feel? So try and capture that from a brand's perspective. Now that's too much, like totally related to the brand. Brand may have a certain integrity, or it has a certain character, a mannerism. Now that should get translated to this. Clearly understand the marketing that you're competing in, and what are some successful cases from this region. So, say you're creating something else for a territory. Say you're doing something for Iran, okay, an app for Iran. Now you should know what sells in Iran. Yeah, you should know what this brand is. You should know the other brands that's successful in Iran. You should understand the language of communication, all that. So very, very important that you should ask the stakeholder what markets are they competing in. You should also understand what is the niche market and also the worst market. Niche market is all the messaging that you use for a certain market, all the type of interactions that you use for one demographic may not be adapted for the other demographic. So you should definitely ask them which market is this. It will have an impact on the user experience. Understand the strength of the brand, strength of the product in your market segment. There might be other products and there might be your product. Now you should clearly able to distinguish and differentiate what is making this product sell. That you'll have to build on that emotion. That's the stepping stone. That's the emotion on which we have to build. Positioning, very, very important. How will you position? See, we never understand the positioning of a product before we start the UX. You should same product just through the interactions that a brand is having with its users. Same amount, same business, same pricing, but the positioning might be one step lower. That might be the right strategy for those products. So you should clearly understand how they want to position their service. Is it good for price? Is it the top cheap? I mean, you have to list down all these points. You ask them how do they want to position? What should their application be in people's mind? What do their product be in people's mind? You should definitely see every advertisements they have sent out. You should see all the promotions. You should see every material they have used, every material, not just a reference website, not just a competitor website, everything else connected to the brand. All the documents should be there on your table before you begin the UX activity. Only then you will understand, only then you will be able to bridge the brand and user experience. You should know about strategic alliances. When there is two brands coming into picture, there is always a lot of chaos and confusion. So you should clearly understand what do they stand for and how do you connect this together. Always understand what is the uniqueness of your product and service and what differentiates it from the competitor. Very important. Also, key competitors regarding what makes them your competitor. Is it the price? Is it the promotion? What is that? How are they different? How do they become your competitor? Understanding about the competitor brand is as important as understanding about your brand. And who do you compete directly? See, why this is important is you should clearly understand the strategy. You should clearly understand how they move. Otherwise, your brand is going to be out. I mean, in fraction of seconds. I mean, there has to be clear distinguishing factors between them and our brand. Very important, any risk that your product will have to face in the near future, or you should know how they are planning to scale it. Okay, this is version A. So okay, in 5 years from now, what is your version B, or what is your plan? So that thing has to be very, very clear, understood. Only when that, see, a product becomes scalable and sustainable when you understand its future journey as well. So unless you know that, your product might end up becoming something which cannot be scalable. So what does this questions ask? See, the importance of asking these questions is about, a lot of information that you get. So the more valid information you get about a product, a brand, an enterprise, you have a lot of insights coming into picture. Asking the questions is, see, very, how do I put it? See, imagine, see, let's take married life. Okay, or say divorce cases. Just for you to understand. See, you see somebody else, you like the way she smiles, you like the a week or two or something, and then you decide, chalo, let's get married. Okay. And after 3 months, what happens is boom, gap. Now, imagine you ask questions to this person. You interact wholeheartedly, very transparent. I mean, transparency is very, very important in UX research and both in bridging this too. Now, you talk in and out, you talk to set of this person, and then you decide to get married. That's when that works. Just because that you have had all the information about a brand, about a product and enterprise, you conceive it absolutely to the core, and then you get engaged with it, the result is going to be absolutely great. Otherwise, it's going to be different. It will never help you build a sustainable product.
Once again, thank you so much, Vivek, for taking time for us and bringing to us this interesting session. So I could like to thank each and everyone who took their valuable time from a busy day to attend this webinar. Thank you all the volunteers of the IxDF team that worked behind the scene to make this event happen. Please write to us and let us know how you found this session. We are available on social medias like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Clubhouse at IxDF Kerala. You can also write to us ixdfkerala@hotmail.com. We have an IST Kerala Community Interaction Design Foundation website. Hope to see you on next session as we come to you with another webinar. Until that, stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.